Hi, I'm going to show you a clip from the council meeting of the 13th involving dogs on beaches. The interesting things I think out of this clip are twofold. One is the common sense spoken by the Labor councillors Crystal Arcus and Gillian Boyd, and also the independent Gemma Tribe. Compare that with Councillor Casmiri and what I think is petulant behaviour from Bob Proudfoot when he withdraws his seconding of the motion. Also of interest in this is that the acting CEO is forced to remind councillors that they can't act above the law, and that seems to frustrate a number of the SID councillors. Anyway, have a look and see what you think.
Dog off-leash times. Councillor Casmiri, you have the floor again.
Thank you, Chair, again. It's a very modest request. All we are all been asked by dog lovers and residents of Vincentia to extend by 1 hour the beach access for off-leash dogs in Vincentia and in the Nelson Beach in Vincentia and the beach in Hutchinson, which are currently off-leash dogs. The time that they're requested is almost in line with daylight saving. Therefore, what we are saying is, can we extend it by 1 hour, which will actually coincide with going back to a daylight saving kind of facility and being a bit more in a warmer time of the morning for those more senior people that love to take the dog for a run in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chair. Again, a couple of questions through you, if I can. Can I find out when the last ref was done for this site and when it would be up for review again, please?
I might have to defer that. I might ask Mr. Donnelly if you're aware when the last REF was undertaken.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, REFs for the two sites in question through this notice of motion were undertaken, that is to say certified in 2023.
And when would they be up for review through you, Mr. Acting Chair?
Direction would need to be given or a reason would need to be given to progress that.
Through you, Chair, there's no, like a DA consent councillors, as a self-assessment mechanism, council can run through Part 5 of the EP&A Act or undertake what's known as a review of environmental factors for an activity. So there's no time frame on review necessarily. If the activity does not change or intensify, then there's no onus on council to have to undertake a review necessarily for the continuation of that activity.
And one more question, if I can, through you, Mr. Acting Chair. The cost of a ref, what does it cost to get a review of environmental factors report done for something like this?
Investigations will vary based on the site in terms of the environmental complexities at play and the reviews of the relevant inputs that will feed into the production of a review of environmental factors. So it's hard to give a figure that will apply to all circumstances. But we can say an average cost would be up to $10,000 per site.
Okay, thank you. And I'll speak to it now if I can, Mr. Acting Chair. I have some sympathy for this issue, I guess, living there and knowing that it is one of the few dog off-leash beaches. You do need to drive past Collingwood, which has banned dogs for good reason due to the fatal dog attack there, and the nesting shorebirds as well. So this is a popular spot to go, and it does seem fairly, thank you, innocuous to just change it by an hour, given non-daylight savings times that people may wish to take advantage of that. And so on the outset, I can see the thinking behind it. However, the ref was done fairly recently, and so I would be reluctant to review that. I would suggest if it is reviewed in the future that this could be considered for social reasons as part of that. I wouldn't like to see us review it now and incur that cost but perhaps if the mover was open to this being considered at the next review of the ref, that could be a sensible approach. As I said, I do have some sympathy for it, but given the time and the fact that we can't just go ahead without a revised ref, because obviously that would leave us open to legal action, which we've seen in other areas, and I wouldn't want to be setting that precedent. So for those reasons, I would seek the mover to, I'll just go ahead and formally request that you amend your recommendation to include those words. If that's not accepted, I'll formally move the amendment.
Do you accept that amendment, Councillor Casmiri?
That it be considered at the next review of the ref.
If I could defer just before further discussion to the CEO, Rupre, that it possibly should have to be amended, or it might not be lawful. Is that a possibility?
Thank you, through you, Mr Chair. Look, councillors, yes, in effect, if council is of the appetite to extend the hours, there's a process that we'll need to go through to undertake that. Our policy requires consultation, but for an intensification of any activity, and this would be an intensification of activity for the purposes of legislation, we would need to go through a review of environmental factors. Now, that may be as simple as a review and addendum to the existing, or it may look at triggering a new REF, depending on how far the factors have changed. So if council is of the appetite to look at extending the off-leash time, my recommendation would be that there be wording put in there to explore that through the policy and the existing legislative framework, and report back to council on the options for the extension of that time frame.
Councillor Casmiri, would that be acceptable?
I'll draft some words and I'll get.
All right, we'll just draft some words. We might hear from Councillor Boyd in light of there are new words.
Just a point of order, Mr Chair. I seconded that motion, and I'm not happy with it, so I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, so we have a little bit of a stalemate here. If it goes as is, it might not be lawful. So we're just waiting for some words from the CEO.
Through you, Chair. I will be very, very clear with the councillors. To extend the operating hours would effectively be an intensification of the activity, and that cannot be done without the appropriate assessments. If it is, I cannot carry it out lawfully. The staff cannot carry that out lawfully until we've undertaken the either review of existing environmental REF or a new REF for that expansion of activity. I draw reference back to, I believe it was Northern Beaches Council and a recent court case, and the recent action that this council has been involved in at Narrawalli Beach. There is very clear case law around this issue.
So we're at just a little bit of a stalemate here. Councillor Boyd, would you like to make a contribution, or are you waiting for the new words? Councillor Clant?
Councillor, look, I'm going to vote. I don't support this motion at all, and I don't think any way that it is changed I can support this. There's been extensive community consultation, firstly on the access for dogs policy, which was approved in 22, and after years of intense study and intense consultation, and the refs are the same. They've the hours at dog opening at beaches has also been extensively consulted, extensively investigated through the refs. And even though it is a modest change, to accommodate that modest change, there's two new review of environmental factors. Plus, it will trigger similar requests from other communities with wanting to increase the access to their beaches, which will trigger more refs. And I don't know why a new ref would be any different to an old ref, given that it's the same beach, the same number of shorebirds that are threatened, the same number of people who don't like to have dogs on the beach, don't like to share their beach with dogs, the same people who like to share the beach with dogs. It is just the same issue revisited, and I don't think we don't really need to do that. I also think that it jeopardises equitable access for people who want to enjoy the beach, whether or not they have dogs or not. And of course, we need to add to the price of the new refs, or the cost of the new refs, the cost of replacing all the signage, which, as we know, is quite expensive. And so I think it's going to increase, this modest increase is going to snowball, and we haven't budgeted for this in our budget for any year. And we obviously have to go without something else the community has to go out without some other project to accommodate the cost of this sudden, modest change to the off-leash dog hours for 2 beaches.
Thank you, Councillor Boyd. Just to round off the discussion, Councillor Cr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, speaking against, I think that's. I don't think I can vote for an amendment to the ref or anything in the same manner as Councillor Boyd. I do tend to agree with what Councillor Proudfoot said a second ago about costing, and we still have to get things done. But I don't believe this is it. And perhaps a little coincidentally, the CEO echoed my notes here. We can't do these things carte blanche. It may feel like it, but a council, we're government, and government has process, government has consultation, government has references, or this ref exactly from the EPA. We have legislation we must follow. It is frustrating, it's killer, but we can't be doing things carte blanche. This is one of these circumstances where we have a modest amendment to a time that echoes, that ripples out into the wider community, in wider costings and wider world. It's not just one beach, this will be all the beaches. We'll have this constantly, and that cost then builds and builds and builds. So 10 grand for another ref, okay, but when that goes over, what do we say, 100 beaches? It's a lot of money. I'd just like to keep that in mind when I say that I won't be voting for this at all.
Now we need to, thank you, Councillor Cr. we need to ascertain whether Councillor Casmiri agrees to the amendment, which is that the council direct the acting CEO to advise and report back to council on the extension of the dog off-leash times at Huskisson Beach, Huskisson and Nelson's Beach, Vincentia, to permit the dogs to be off-leash during the following times. So basically, it's a report back on the legality. Therefore, Councillor Casmiri, do you accept that amendment?
Yes, I do. Actually, it's exactly what was the recommended statement by the CEO in the agenda item.
Do I have a seconder? A seconder? Councillor Cox? All right, we'll take it to the vote. We'll go to the machines. Have a result. We have for the recommendation. 5-4-7 against. So the motion is lost. Those who voted against: Councillor Clancy, Councillor Dunn, Councillor Tribe, Councillor Norris, Councillor Boyd, Councillor Johnston and Councillor Cr. Those who voted for: Councillor Kemp, Councillor Casmiri, Councillor Cox, Councillor Proudfoot and Councillor Wilkins. I declare that motion lost.